Hey guys, so if you watched my New Move Monday yesterday, I hope you really liked it, for one. And two, you've had a little bit of time to play with it, I hope. And for those who haven't seen it, I'll just show it off real quick. It's this basic sort of thing. And there's a lot you can do from that. But this concept, in fact, actually goes so deep that I'm probably going to have to split it up into two tutorials. Otherwise, it's going to end up being 10 minutes long, and that's just sort of a lot to absorb at one time. So if you want to see the second part of this, you can go onto my YouTube channel, which is just Vincent VANFLOW, and into my proof of concept series, and this will be a new sort of long-awaited edition, at least for me, expanding onto that series, because it's been a while since I've added to it. And what it is it's this idea of sort of expanding and collapsing shapes up and down by one dimension. And I'm showing this to you with a cube because it's the easiest. And there's three different ways that you can collapse a cube down into 3 dimensions. Or, I mean 2 dimensions, into squares. As you have the forward and back axis, the left and right, and the up and down. And those different ways correspond to forward and back. You can see it's a square, doesn't really have any depth, except for my thumbs. Ignore my thumbs. I'm serious. And you have left and right. That way, you can imagine, there's a line here in between the 2 fingertips that I have normal human hands and can't make. So just use your imagination. And then you have the up and down. Same sort of deal. And you can hinge those squares around and play with those how you will. And you can also say take a square, collapse it down into a line. No matter where you look at it, it's just a line. And you can even take that further, collapse it down into a point, which would be 0 dimensions. Expand that back out, expand that back out, and expand that back out. And obviously, the further you go down in dimensions, the more ways there are to expand back out. So that's where this sort of ends up getting kind of deep, going down the rabbit hole, and that's sort of where I'm going to explain more in the second video, but I will be touching on that in this one. And sort of the main idea that I want you to start grasping with this is that when you have the cube and you collapse it down, the cube you started with really didn't go away, at least in your head. The cube is still there, and what that really allows you to do is to be able to change visually what you're doing without really changing your mental picture. So when you get used to this idea, it makes things a lot more effortless, a lot more consistent, because you can collapse it, move it, expand it, and it's still the same way, the same shape you started with. The information is never lost, basically. And to sort of show you a little bit easier, imagine this is the top of the imaginary cube in my hand, or in my head, that I'm not doing with my hands, even though I am right now. If I hinge the square, this sort of partial square, that imaginary cube in my head goes right along with it. So that if I go up here, my head, this face of the cube is still there. So I expand out, I know exactly where it is. And where that really starts getting a lot more useful is when you start dealing with things that are a lot more liquid in nature, like with digital liquid. And the reason being, when you're doing with liquid, liquid is all about sort of the space in between. So say if I make a cube like this, it's expanded out, and the points that everything meets are just sort of floating there in space. They're implied. So if you want to collapse that down and you manipulate that around and expand it out, you need to be able to know where the edge of that shape is, if you were to have moved it. So you know that it's that far out and not that far out. You can do it over and over again. You're going to keep hitting that same wall. And the same goes in all directions, obviously. So that's sort of going to be roughly the limit of where I go in this tutorial. If you want to get more in depth, go ahead and go to my YouTube channel, where there will be a second one where I get extra nerdy for you. So I hope you like this. Let me know in the comments if if there's anything that I could have explained better. Hopefully that's not something that's not in the second tutorial. Please watch it if you want more. Or if there's something that you want me to do a tutorial on in the future, anything you liked about this, just let me know. And I hope you have a good day. I hope you enjoyed this video. Peace.